Hello there, and welcome to the next lesson. In this lesson, you will need these two pieces. I want you to make sure that you watch the assembly video first so you know how these pieces work. And I'm going to do a little bit of rearranging here with my pieces so that I can show you what we need to do with these. I'm going to ask you to bear with me as I have to resize and crop some of these, but let's pull that down here. First thing I want to do is give this page a title. Okay, so on this lesson, in this lesson, we are going to be evaluate, and I'm going to tell you what that word means. Algebraic expressions. And formulas. This is one of my favorite things to do in math. I've just always enjoyed this quite a lot. And to show you how this works, I have given you this piece. Is this an expression? Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Is this an expression or an equation? It's an expression because it does not have an equal sign. Okay, the first thing I want to do is to go through the pieces. Let's do our vocabulary. So we have a variable right here. Once you stick this piece down, remember this A piece will not be stuck down. This is the one section that does not get glue. Once you glue these pieces down though, let's label these terms. If that's the variable, this is its coefficient because that's what's being multiplied by the variable. There's the plus sign. This 5 is a constant. This is the operator, the plus sign. So this thing is an expression with two terms. It is 3a plus 5. And remember, terms are separated by plus signs. 3a plus 5. Because it has two terms, it is called a binomial. A binomial has two terms. So we're going to work with this expression, and we're going to evaluate the expression. So you actually do need two of your flashcards. I forgot to draw those in here, so let me do that. You need the term evaluate and the term substitute. So the two flashcards that you're going to need, I usually post those in here before we start, but evaluate and substitute. Both of these are verbs. They're action words. Things that you and I have to learn how to do. So let's start with substitute, because in math you have to substitute before you can evaluate. And you've heard this term probably in your lifetime, even if you've had a substitute teacher, or if you substitute water for milk in a recipe. Substitute means to replace a variable, and remember a variable is a letter, with a given value. What's the term you know for a fixed value? That's constant. So we are replacing a variable with a constant, and that is called substituting. And then once we do that, we can evaluate. So let's see what this verb means. Evaluate means to do all the math that can be done. You can also think of that as simplifying. It's not solving. Solving is a different thing. This lesson deals with expressions, not equations. So evaluate is to do all the math that can be done. Okay, I want you to pull, just if you've watched the assembly video, this will make sense. I want you to pull this slider through until you get the 6. Okay, so let me crop out my 6. I'm going to pull, because I can't do my slider thing on the screen, I'm just going to pull the number itself. Oh no, my battery is running low on my Apple Pencil. Hopefully, and I'm probably not going to be able to do that. Let's get this one, and then I'm going to have to pause the video and charge my pencil. I didn't realize I was getting low. But go ahead and pull your slider up until you have the 6 in that frame. So you have 3, 6 in parentheses, plus 5. Now what that 6 in parentheses means is multiply. Okay, so this is saying, remember, coefficients are multiplied by variables. So that was substituting. I have substituted the 6 for the A. Okay, so let me come down here, and I'm going to show you how to evaluate that expression. So here we go. We've got 3. We substituted the 6. Let me start with the original expression, 3a plus 5. So we pull the 6 up into view. We've substituted the 6. That's what this step is. And then we need to do all the math that can be done. So we're going to say 3 times 6 is 18. Bring down the 5. Well, we can still do more math. We're not finished. 8 plus 5 is 23. So this is the evaluate part. Okay, let me get another one here. Let's pull the slider up until you have the 5 in focus. So I'm going to say 3a plus 5, and we're going to pull the 5 into the viewer. So 3a plus 5 is going to be 3 times 5 is 15, plus 5 is 20. So here's the substituting part. And then here's the evaluating part. Okay. Let's pull our viewfinder up a little more. So we have 3a plus 5, and we're going to substitute a 10. Then 3 times 10 is 30. And 30 plus 5 is 35. Then let's pull our slider up until you see the 9 in the viewer. So 3 times 9 is 27, plus 5 is 32. And then finally, let's pull up the slider until we have the 0 in the viewer. You see how A is variable. It's changing. Every time I pull the slider up, the value of this expression changes because A is changing. 3 times nothing is nothing. Plus 5 is 5. So A is variable. A is changing every time I move the slider piece. Okay guys, you won't notice this, but I'm gonna stop the video just a second and charge my pen. And then when I come back, I will show you some more examples without the slider. We'll look at a few more examples of substituting and evaluating. I want to do a few more examples with you on expressions. But before I do that, I want to show you a calculator step that if you're using that calculator, the Casio FX260, I want to show you how to do exponents on there. So I'm going to draw out some calculator buttons and give you an algebra tip. If you don't have the calculator, I've given you a copy of the calculator face in your memory kit so you can at least see where these buttons are. But if you have the calculator, I strongly encourage you to practice with this because this is getting into some uncharted territory. It's not simple addition and subtraction. We're getting into some of the things on that scientific calculator that you really don't use every day. But to do this example, I'm going to need about 5 buttons, I believe. So let me paste those in. Just like in the first course, anytime you see these examples with the buttons, those are calculator steps. So this is how to do exponents on the calculator. And before I even do that, let me show you what an exponent is. That would make sense, wouldn't it? An exponent is going to be this little number that sits up. It's called a superscript. It's above the first number. It's 3 to the second power. And what that means literally is 3 written down 2 times and you multiply. So 3 times 3 is 9. 3 to the third power would be your 3 written 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9 times 3 is 27. And 3 to the fourth power, I'll do one more, is 4 of those being multiplied together. And that would be 81. So these are called exponents. They're these little numbers that are superscripted to tell you how many times you're going to multiply your base. The calculator will do this for you, which is very nice. You don't have to sit and figure these out on a test like the HiSET. So this time I'm going to use the 3 to the fourth power to put into my my frame here, or sorry, my buttons. Let me pull that down a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do as always is hit all clear. And then you put in the 3. That's called the base. And in order to put in the exponent, you need to hit the button that is above the clear key. It's X to the Y. This is called the exponent key. And then you put in the little number. That's called the exponent. I'm going to do the 4. And then of course you always end your problem with an equals. So 3 to the fourth power, you should get 81. And you can practice these using those 3 examples. That would be very good to run through just as practice. And I showed you that to show you the next example. So let's take a look at this one. The instructions are going to be the same for each one. I'm going to just say evaluate. It's one of your vocabulary words. It means to do all the math that can be done. So here's the first one. 3 plus x, parentheses, 12 minus y, close parentheses, exponent 2 divided by z. And if you need to stop your video and get that written out, that will be fine. When x is 11, y is 9, and z is 3. So this portion of the problem is the values that I will have to substitute. Okay. So let's go back through and substitute the values. 3 plus x is 11. So instead of this x, let's put an 11. Excuse me. 12 minus y. Y is 9 to the second power divided by z. Z is 3. So do you see how I have substituted those values in for the letters? That's what happened right there. I substituted the values. If you need to, pause your video and really think through what I've done there. Okay, the next step is to evaluate. We have to do the math. So the first thing we need to do is what's in parentheses. 12 minus 9, that's going to be 3. And then all this other stuff just comes down with it. All we've done is the parentheses. We got a 3 right there. Then I'm going to do my exponent. 3 to the second power. We did that on the previous page. That is 9. And then we're bringing everything else down. Then 11 times 9, that's 99. Then divide by 3. That's this piece. We follow the order of operations. 99 divided by 3 is 33. And then 3 plus 33, finally we get there. We have to do all the math there is to do. And we get a 36. So when you evaluate that expression, you end up with a 36 as that simplified answer. But this is quite a bit more to do than this one. This is a pretty basic expression. This one is not. So I wanted to show you some more difficult ones. And here's another one. In this problem, I'm supposed to substitute when W equals 6. So everywhere I see a W, I'm going to put a 6 and then copy the rest of what I need. Everything else just comes down. Then following the order of operations, I need to do parentheses first. So I will say 8 plus 6 is 14. Copy everything else. There are no exponents, so we will multiply or divide from left to right. So here's one and here's one. 6 times 2 is 12. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And 12 plus 7 is 19. That addition or subtraction is your last step on that one. So this one evaluates to 19. Here's another one. Let's do A, 7 minus B to the second power, divided by C plus 2, when A is 4, B is 5, and C is 2. So here is my clue that I need to substitute those values. A is 4. B is 5. C is 2. And then I need to do all the math that can be done. So we first do parentheses. 7 minus 5 is 2. And that's going to be to the second power. There's the 4 and then the rest of the problem. And then 2 to the second power, that's 2 times 2 is 4. And then copy the rest. And then we multiply and divide from left to right. 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. And then don't forget that 2 out there on the end that gets added so that we have 10. And here is one more. This is a geometry question, and this one has a formula. I want us to use A equals LW to find the area. And this time I'm going to give you a rectangle with L length of 10 feet and W width of 7 feet. So L is 10 and W is 7, length and width. And the formula is A equals LW. So we are going to substitute for L and for W. L is 10, the longer side. 7 is the wide side. So 10 times 7 is 70 square feet. Sometimes instead of giving you the when statement, they'll give you a diagram to look at. So I wanted to be sure that we looked at one of those. Those are some examples of substituting and evaluating, also of the order of operations. So that's good practice for that skill as well. The next video that I will do with you is the workbook for practice 25, and we will practice these skills a lot more. So I will see you soon for that practice. Bye bye.